All right, so you can check your own paper as we are going through these answers. Make sure if you get them wrong or your work is incorrect that you are fixing it as we go. All right, on the first one, we're given the length of the ladder, and then we're also given the distance from the tree to the base of the ladder, and we're missing this height of the tree there. So since the hypotenuse is always opposite of our right angle, we know that this is going to be our hypotenuse, or in other words, our C. So we know that it equals 12 squared, and then we have 5 squared plus h squared equals that. I would do my squares first, so I get 25 plus h squared equals 144. When I subtract 25 from both sides, I get h squared equals 119. To get rid of that squaring, I take the square root, which gives me about 10.9 feet for the height of my tree. Okay, remember we can always check our answers for reasonableness because we always know that our hypotenuse is going to be the longest side, so 12 is bigger than 10.9, therefore we could guess that we're right. Okay, over here we're trying to figure out how deep the water is. So again, this is our right angle on the hypotenuse, or C is always opposite of it, so we know it's going to equal 15 squared. And then we have 6 squared plus x squared. I would do my squares first, so 36 plus x squared equals 225. I take away 36 from both sides, and I get x squared equals 189. To get rid of my square, I take the square root. So I get x is about 13.7 feet. Because again, the directions it says round to the nearest tenth. All right, on our next two problems, they were three-dimensional, and number 3 tries to trick you because they actually give you an extra length. So, looking at the inside of this, I'm trying to figure out what the height of my pyramid is. Or no, I'm given the height of my pyramid. I'm trying to figure out the side length of my pyramid. So you can see right there is our right triangle. This side is 11. This side is 4. So then we are missing this. Since this is our right angle right here, our hypotenuse is always opposite, so we're actually missing our hypotenuse. So then I have 11 squared plus 4 squared. 11 squared is 121 plus 4 squared is 16 would give me x squared. 121 plus 16 gives me 137 equals x squared, and then again, to get rid of that square, I take the square root of it, and the square root of 137 is about 11.7 centimeters. Okay, they tried to trick you by giving you this extra length of 8 centimeters. We don't actually care what this side length is because that doesn't have anything to do with our right triangle on the inside. All right, on number 4, we're given the height of our cone, and then we're given the radius, because remember the radius is half the distance of a circle. And then we need to figure out what the side length is going to be. So here's my right angle. The hypotenuse is always opposite, so we're again looking for our hypotenuse. So 12 squared plus 9 squared should give me that. 12 squared is 144 plus 81 would give me x squared. 144 plus 81 is 225. And again, to get rid of that square, I take the square root. So x equals 15 feet. All right, and then on number 5, they again got a little tricky because they kind of gave you a map. And they give you a lot of extra links. So refer to the map of the Woodlands camp at the right, read your answers to the nearest tenth. How far is it from Sycamore, which is right here, cabin to Oak Cabin, which is right here. So if you can see, we're going to use this right triangle here to figure out this distance. My right angle is right there, so my hypotenuse is going to be the opposite. So I'm given the hypotenuse, which is 50 squared. And then I have this side, which is 30 squared plus x squared, or b squared, whatever you want to write. I do 30 squared, and I get 900 plus x squared equals 50 squared is 2,500. I subtract 900 from both sides. I get x squared equals 1,600. Then I take the square root of that to get an answer of 40 yards. So again, I took the square root of that. So 40 yards should have been your distance from Sycamore to Oak. All right. B was even a little bit trickier. So a camper in Hickory Cabin wants to visit a friend in Elm. So we're going from here to here, which we already know that's 60 yards, so that's pretty easy. But we want to know how much farther it is if she walks to Mess Hall first. So they're going to start here, they're going to go to Mess Hall, and then they're going to end up at Elm, okay? So we are missing this length right here, and we could use the right triangle there. Actually, no, we can't use that right triangle because we don't know enough information. So we're actually going to have, So actually, we're going to use the right triangle here. So here's our right angle, and our hypotenuse is always opposite. So we are given the hypotenuse of 60 yards. And then we don't know this side length, so that's going to be our a squared, plus we do know this side length, which is 40, so 40 squared. 40 squared is going to be 1,600. 60 squared is going to be 3,600. I subtract my 1,600 from both sides, and I get 2,000 equals a squared. To get rid of that square, I take the square root. And I get a to equal 44.7, or about, because I rounded to the nearest 10. So that means that this side length right here is 44.7. So again, if I'm going from Hickory to Mess Hall, that's going to be 44.7. But then I'm going to go from Mess Hall to Elm, which is an additional 40 yards. So when I add those together, I get 84.7 yards. So if that's the distance I have to go from Hickory to Mess to Elm, I want to again know how much farther it is than she walks than just going from Hickory to Elm. So I would take 84.7 and subtract that 60 yards if I just went straight there. And that's when I get an answer of 24.7 yards. So that one was a lot of work, but in the end we can figure it out.